So a few years ago, I found myself at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. I had about 50 to 60 pounds of borrowed and rented gear on my back. I had a pretty crummy pair of sneakers on my feet, and I was setting out on a 10-mile hike into the Grand Canyon that would eventually lead to Havasupai Falls, which is a stunning oasis of waterfalls in a very remote area of the canyon that kind of just pop up out of nowhere. This blue-green water that is very Caribbean-like. It's very unexpected in the middle of the desert, and it's just one of those must-see experiences. So I found myself on this hike doing something I had never done before because I finally, for the first time in my adult life, had the opportunity to. I had the chance to say yes to something without having to worry about what someone might think or someone saying no or getting hassled about my desire to go do something like this. I was going through a horrible divorce at the time. In fact, I was leaving an abusive marriage. So just a few days actually before I left for the trip, I had been working with a company to replace my family room window because it had been shattered by my ex, who lobbed a softball-sized rock through it, sent me some kind of message. Luckily, we caught it on camera because just a few months prior to that, he had done the same thing to our sliding glass window. So got it all filmed. But that just kind of represents the temperature of things. Life had really hit a fever pitch, and it had become dangerous, scary, intimidating. There was a lot of just really high emotion, a lot of noise, a lot of chaos. And in that same time period where my mind was really monopolized by a new vocabulary that's usually reserved for like Law and Order or CSI or whatever, victim statements and prosecution and all of that type of stuff, nothing I wanted a part of. I was also going through the process of, emotionally processing being divorced, which it has a lot of similarities, I'm sure, with any other run-of-the-mill divorce, abusive or not. Here you are in your life, and I was pushing 40. I had 3 kids. I had my own personal tornado on the sidelines that like to kind of buzz in and out every now and then. Who in the world would want any part of that? I had cried on the phone with a mortgage company, just like the old after-school special. I'd cried about a Nickelodeon Junior episode, some sitcom. So I'd kind of gone through all that heartbreak and processed it. I'd started dating a little bit. Like, it was okay. I knew that it showed me that I could. Nothing that really like knocked my socks off. But so here I was in the canyon, and I was able to kind of settle into my heartbreak a little bit and love it for what it was and what it was allowing me, which was this incredible experience. Just walking along, at the base of the Grand Canyon with these towering walls next to me, and I found myself alone. I was traveling with a group, but as you hike and you set your own pace, you kind of spread out a little bit. So I found myself alone, and for the first time in years, I was able to really block out any of that noise that I left at home, any of the thoughts that had monopolized my time, and really be in the moment and think about and hear my own thoughts. It was like a new thing. So as I'm walking, I'm thinking, what do I want? I knew what I didn't want. I was pretty clear on that. So I thought, what do I want? And seeing that I was alone, I kind of looked around. There was no one around me. This thought came into my head, and the thought was, I want someone who's captivated by me. And I immediately just thought it was dumb. I was like, I'm not like in a Nicholas Sparks movie or whatever. Like, that's so cheesy. But I felt compelled, knowing I was alone, just me in the canyon, to say it out loud. So I said it to the canyon. I said, I want someone who's captivated by me. So I continued on the hike, and it was a 3-day trip, and we just went and saw these waterfalls. Some of them are as tall as 100 feet, and they're out of this world. There's nothing compares to seeing it, playing in them, splashing around, hiking out to them. The hikes are beautiful, Jurassic Park style scenery. I met new friends, hung out at the campsite. We ate some delicious dehydrated food. I know that sounds horrible, but after you've hiked like 10 miles in a day, the macaroni and cheese in the bag with the tuna pouch on top, like the hiking store employee suggested, was money. It was so good. And I was so grateful to her on that night when I was able to put that down. So we came to the last day, and we were hiking to one waterfall, and it's called Hidden Falls. And for good reason, because it is really tucked away. And it's known to the locals down there. So we're hiking back in there. It's very Indiana Jones in my mind. You got to really crawl through some like tall grasses, and the water came up to our chest, so we were holding up our packs over our heads so nothing got wet. And then it just opens up to this pool, this blue-green pool with this waterfall falling into it. It's about 20, 25 feet, I guesstimate. And the leader of the group, who was a longtime friend, was like, this is the one we jump off of. And I was like, yeah, totally. So like taking off my pack and leaving it on the side, and like no hesitation, crawling up to the top of the cliff there, and found this teeny tiny perch. And I got out there, and my toes wrapped around the perch and didn't move. It's just like not happening, Lisa. So I understood why. I mean, I looked down at the water, and suddenly that 20-foot drop off was more like, it felt like 100, right? It was like they were so far away, everyone down there. But I looked down at all my companions, and they're like, Lisa, go for it. Like, you're an animal. You can do this. And then I looked to my right, and there's this man on the ledge with me, and he'd been part of the hiking group. I'd met him, we talked. But when I looked, I just fell into his eyes. Those big brown eyes. In that moment, I needed a couple things because I was terrified. I needed peace and reassurance, and just kind of a knowing. I can't explain it. There was an energy. I don't know what the energy was, but we were experiencing it. So I was looking at him, and I was looking at the water, and I looked back at him, and I looked at the water. And when I looked back at him the last time, I couldn't look back because I had to just look up, because he was in front of me, right in front of me. And he's 6'3", and I'm not. So I'm looking up at him and wondering how the heck he's fitting in front of me, because the ledge is so tiny. My feet are barely fitting on it. And he looks at me and he says, hi. And I'm like, hi. And then he just jumps backwards into the waterfall. And like a spaz, I just finally jumped in after him, and I was like, bye, And that jump was really the beginning of a life and a love that I couldn't have ever wished for, because I had no idea it was even possible or it even existed. It led to us road tripping up to Idaho to go see the total solar eclipse. It led us to the Channel Islands off California and making friends with this cute little fox over there, which is super easy because they're everywhere and they're adorable. It led to us camping in Hana on Maui. It led to us combining our family, taking our 5 kids and driving up to Glacier National Park and Yellowstone and the Tetons and Arches and Zion, and taking them through all of that. It was incredible. It led to us building a little farm in our backyard and adding chickens, and now I love chickens. I had no idea that I could love a chicken, and I do. I love this little chicken. And it led to a sense of peace and quiet and support and love that I never knew was possible, and in essence helped me have the space to launch a nonprofit recently called For Your Record that will offer financial assistance to other domestic abuse survivors as they navigate the legal system. So one of those little tidbits along the way that I didn't share yet, but is pretty magical, is when we started dating, he had mentioned something to me. He said, I'm just captivated by you. And it took my breath away. I didn't know what to say, because that was my secret with the canyon. I had only told the canyon that. I had only told this wall that that's what I was looking for. So it taught me something that moment, and that's the canyon can't keep secrets, and I'm grateful for it.